Hello, everyone. This is Claire, Dental Toaster. Today we have Doug. Doug Perry is a very interesting and awesome person because, first of all, he's a male. He's a male. First of all, we know we're 98% female in this RDH world, and he's a non-RDH. But what he has done is he has a website called GethiredRDH, and he helped hundreds and thousands of people build their resume so that they become the clinician they wanted to be, get that position, or transform their career into something else. So welcome, Doug.
Thank you, Claire. It's good to be with you.
So you started doing resumes for others and helping them. Can you tell us the story of how?
Yeah, so back in 2010, my wife was a dental hygienist that just barely graduated from school. And at the time that she first was interested, which was several years earlier than that, in dental hygiene, the job market was very robust. There was lots of opportunities, and people were pretty much just walking out of school, getting recruited. And things changed over the period between that time and the time that she graduated in 2010. To where it kind of had flipped, and there was a lot less jobs because there were a lot more dental hygienists graduating and a lot more schools. And so consequently, we had that we were dealing with, and then also the recession was just kind of at the tail end of that, the Great Recession, I think they call it. That was really depressing the marketplace in a lot of ways, and one of which was the job marketplace. And so at the tail end of that and the time that she was graduating, there was it was really difficult to find a job, really, really difficult, more so than today even. And so at first we didn't really know, what it would be like. And so she just kind of started applying for a few jobs here and there and found that it was a struggle. Even to get one day a week was really challenging. And so it was about probably 3 or 4, maybe 5 months in that I decided, there's a lot of things that she's not really doing from a marketing perspective to market herself. She really hasn't created a brand for herself. She hasn't stood out or found different ways to differentiate herself. She was using the resume that she created in hygiene school. There was just a number of different things that I knew how to do because I was working in marketing, had been working in marketing for about 15, 16 years at that point, and that I could see that she could improve. And so I did that. I put my marketing hat on and recreated a resume for her. We created a brand for her. We started creating all these different things that made her stand out, such as postcards and testimonial sheets. We even created a resume video, just a number of different things. And we didn't even have time to roll them all out because it wasn't very long after that she found a job. And it was directly because of a lot of the efforts I put into it.
Awesome.
And so one thing led to another, and pretty soon I was doing a resume for a friend of hers that was a hygienist, and then it just kind of turned into one person after another that I was helping. And so I decided, there's probably a lot more people I could help with this.
Yeah.
I created the website, GethiredRDH.com, opened up a business, and started sharing tips and advice on how others can do the same thing.
Great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually just share the screen so everybody can see your website. So it's called GethiredRDH.
Yep.
And I have it right here, right? You can see it, right? So, right, you have some awesome testimonial, first of all, over here, Erica, she says she worked with several projects with her and she can't ask for better, and here on the website, there are just so many resources. The amount of expertise you have in this is just awesome. So you talk about not only salary, but you have awesome resources and you write a lot, right? Your blogs, when I read them, they are amazing content. So I just encourage anybody to go to this website and just read more if you are hunting for something new. So you'll have a better understanding of maybe how to do it, and you really get Doug's advice. And here there's more testimonial here saying, she got so many compliments about her interview and her resume afterwards. And they also say it's very easy to work with you. So
I try to be.
Yeah. So tell us about the service you provide, when it comes to resume making.
So yeah, what I do is just I invite a candidate that's interested in talking with me about their resume to send
Mm-hmm.
me what they have.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody almost always has something. Well, with the exception of some who, they graduated before, when the market wasn't so saturated, and so there's some that actually don't have a resume at all. But anyway, I have them send me their information. We talk about
Mm-hmm.
different ways in which I can help them to stand out, be different, and provide them a quote for the service. And some of them take me up on it. Some of them go back to my website and get some
Mm-hmm.
self type information. I'm happy to have that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, just kind of work with them from there one-on-one to create
Mm-hmm.
something that really helps them stand out.
Okay, great. And so the reason I got in touch with Doug in the beginning was actually because, um, I had a lot of graduates from doing student RDH, and they graduate, they don't really know what to do with, their professional life, how to start. And that's why I think that's the point when I started to think about who else can I talk to who can be an awesome resources to our new grads. So that's how, I contacted Doug, I think, originally. And then this led into actually creating a course, because obviously there's some need for like customized resume building. They will go to you and, tell you that they need this. But sometimes if you want to do more like a self-help and you want to do it DIY style, I thought it would be great to put a course together, and Doug already had so much material and expertise. So we created this resume course building. It's called Market Your Dental Hygiene Career. And it is in DentalToaster. So I'll share that with our users later in a bit. And now let's really get to talk about the problems with resume. Let's bring your expertise. So
Right.
what are the main issues you see people having with their resumes?
Well, I think, Claire, a lot of it is articulating accomplishments and results. A lot of people just don't feel comfortable talking about how awesome they are. And I'm the same way. It's hard for me to write my own resume because you tend to be wanting to be more reserved, to not come off as brash or cocky. And what you really have to do though is be willing to step outside of that mentality a little bit, to really focus in on what it is that you've done that's awesome, that's amazing. And everybody's done amazing, awesome things that are unique to them. And so what I find is most people tend to just kind of go back to, well, I'll just put a list of what things that I've done and, tasks and duties and responsibilities, and not really focused on results. And they're really missing the biggest and most important part of a resume, which is to sell your ability to do something and get a result.
I see.
Because that's what employers want. They want to know, if I hire this person, what am I going to get? Am I going to get someone that just does a list of duties or tasks, or am I going to get someone who achieves and accomplishes and gets results? That's what they want. And so that's what you got to focus on. Even as hard as it is sometimes to brag about yourself a little bit, you have to do that. And then another part of that is creating sort of a personal brand for yourself, making yourself stand out as a unique individual. Like I said, we're all different. Everybody's different. Everybody has something unique or special and cool about themselves that they can use to sell themselves. But a lot of people struggle to know what that is, and they just kind of revert back to, well, I'll just put the basic information on my resume and call it good. Those are probably the two biggest things that I see in resumes as a problem.
I see. And you're right. It's hard to sit down and say, what have I accomplished? Some people are better and that, but I think we are just, in a way, humble by nature as well. And to put it in a little format like this, in tiny words, it's so difficult. We are not wordsmiths, unless you're a professional wordsmith. We have talent such as maybe clinical service, patient care, but transferring that to this written mini format, it's a skill on its own.
It is, and it has to be readable. It has, because employers just don't have a whole lot of time to review resumes. When they get a stack of 30, 40, 50 resumes, otherwise all qualified candidates for a position, they have to look for ways that are going to separate those people and differentiate them.
I
And
see.
so I try to help people really pare that down and make things read really concise, create a nice flow,
Mm-hmm.
and design around the
Mm-hmm.
resume so that an
Mm-hmm.
employer can immediately be drawn into it and then
I see.
more likely to read it.
And how long do you think a employer looks at a resume when they have a stack on their desk?
Well, there's actually been a study on this. I'm trying to remember who, it was the ladders.com. They do a lot of research and things into job seeking in general. And one of the research pieces of research that they did was they basically timed how long an employer looks at a resume through eye sample surgeries, not surgeries, eye sample surveys.
Mm-hmm.
And there's different techniques for doing it. But anyway, they found that the employers are typically spending about 6 seconds on a resume before they make a decision, an initial judgment as to how long that person's going to last, if they're going to be in their interview pile or if they're going to go straight to the garbage. It takes them about 6 seconds to make
Okay.
that initial
Mm-hmm.
knee-jerk reaction. Now, in 6 seconds, I don't know about you, but I can't read a whole resume in 6 seconds.
No.
And so it really comes down to it's a visual experience for them. If they have an initial
Mm-hmm.
positive visual response to the resume, then they're going to read more, and then hopefully that'll lead to you getting an interview. But it's that 6 seconds that it forms that first impression that is so critical. And so I spend a lot of time making sure that the design looks very, very clean and sophisticated and attractive.
I see. And you also talk about it in the Market Your Dental Hygiene Career, the resume course in DentalToaster as well?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Over an entire video on just resumes alone. I could probably even spend a little bit longer than that, but I try to keep it as packed and powerful as possible with information so that people can create something fairly quickly.
Okay, great. So, I encourage everybody to try, this resume course. Is really just something that can capture someone's attention in 6 seconds. And we know 6 seconds is quick. And as you said in the beginning with your wife's story, is when we are applied, we are competing against, a lot of people.
Right.
Right. Even your own classmates.
Right, exactly. Your own classmates, and the better the job, the more competition there is.
So the better the job, the more important it is to have an awesome resume.
Exactly. Yeah.
And when I was thinking about resumes, I was thinking about Tinder. I know they're not related, but this is my point. I'm going to type it literally, bet Tinder picture. Profiles. Oh, let's do, obviously people talk about it already. This is what I thought. It's like Tinder. If you use Tinder, not that I'm using Tinder, but any of those services that needs to be a quick impression. And this, a resume, of course, is not Tinder, but there's something related here, which is really, we just have so little, time to judge someone based on, it can be their picture, it can be their first tagline, it can be anything that just is a yes or a no. That's basically how it also works with the employer, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Very, very good parallel.
And we just don't want to be that Tinder picture that ends on the no pile just because we made the first bad impression. We can be the most awesome person in the world, best skill or whatever it is. But, if, for example, I look at things like that, I always wonder why do they crop this picture? Can you just have like a nice picture of yourself? So those are the things that I think of when I'm trying to make this analogy. So the message here is you got 6 seconds, your resume should be awesome. Now, can we quickly talk about the tagline? So I think in your course, you talk about how you put something at the very top that is about, a summary of who you are.
Yeah, so at the top of the resume, what people used to do for resumes is put an objective statement, but myself and other resume writers, professional resume writers today are saying, no, that's not really what you want to do to sell yourself, because everybody's objective in job seeking is the exact same. They want a job. And so there's no real fancy way to say that that's going to compel anybody to make them want to interview. Much better for you to begin to build a relationship of trust with an employer. And the way that you do that is to share information about yourself and also how you can help them. And so what I do with that opening summary statement, or I call it an about me statement a lot of times, is to introduce them to you and your personality, what you're like, what they can expect if they hire you. If they hire you, this is going to be the type of person they're going to get. That's what we try to achieve. Just give them a short snippet of who you are.
I see. So for example, it could be something, I'm a super energetic, dental clinician who has been who has a lot of experience, especially in periodontology or something like that. Yes. That kind of grabs a little bit more of their attention versus saying like, I'm the best candidate or something generic.
Yeah, that I want to work as a clinician. Okay, well, everybody wants to work as a clinician. So tell me more about you.
I see.
Why should I hire you? And that just gives them a little bit more insight about you, and that's what they want. That's that's why they'll Google your name after they decide they want to interview you. They'll check you out. So they're gonna do that too. So give them as much upfront as you can.
Okay. All right. And so, I am going actually just to share the course then, that I have, and I'm going to walk over the flow that you have, because this ties back into the first part of your course, which is really finding more about yourself. It's a self-discovery process in the beginning, I think. So this is the course. We have a little bit about you over here, and here, this is the course. So we're going to get into it. And the first part is called, creating your personal brand. So I think that ties back to like So this is the first part, that you have to understand what you can offer your brand is. Okay, so because we don't think ourselves as marketers. I mean, as someone who has to sell yourself. As a good clinician, for example, I say, I have 20 years of experience. Why should I sell myself? Do you see that hurdle sometimes with the...
Definitely. People have to figure out what it is that makes them different. And if you don't make yourself appear different, then what you're doing is you're saying, I'm like everybody else. And that makes it harder, even if you're trying to be really honest or whatever. That just makes it really hard for an employer to want to pick you. It makes it harder for them to make a decision about who they should go with. So it's so important that you figure out a way to differentiate yourself. There's just lots of different ways to do it. We talk a lot of that in the course.
Okay. And here I just, I love how you really bring your marketing experience, because you do that professionally as well. Yes. And you bring this Coca-Cola analogy, for example, saying, you are differentiating yourself. You have to do everything you have to do that.
Yep. Yep. You can't just rely on the employer to be able to figure that out for you. You have to communicate it. You have to figure it out for yourself first.
Okay.
About in course one, and then you've got to communicate it, articulate it to them.
Okay. Yeah. And here, what I really love about this course is you talk about soft skills, because we forget that we have not just clinical skills, soft skills, meaning the personal skills that we have, right?
Yes. Yeah. You have oftentimes these are the things that they want to know the most. They want to know how well you're going to represent them to their patients or to their customers if it's not a dental job. And then also how you're going to represent them or mesh well with the team, the existing team. Two very most important questions they're asking themselves inside is, how can I visualize this person talking to one of my customers, and how can I visualize them talking to or working with my team members? And does it work? And if it doesn't work, then that's something you've got to overcome.
Okay. So, it's a great point. It's not just about your skills, it's how you're going to get involved. I mean, integrate, because there are always other people involved. So we really need time to think about your soft skills and, again, translate that into a written format, a concise written format. So this is part one, the first part, which is creating your personal brand. And you also talk about how you can bring your awards and your GPAs and things like that into the resume. I'm not going to go too much into detail over here. And, so this is really about understanding who you are, what you can sell, and what your strengths and weaknesses are. So,
Exactly.
okay, great. All right. So the next part is that you really talk about how to build a resume over here. And, first step again is to get to know, those soft skills. And after that, you really get into the technical things about what's a resume, what goes into it, the format, CV versus resume, right? And what else do you have in this section?
Well, what we do is we just break it down piece by piece, and we show you two different types of resumes: a functional, which is a reverse chronological, and the differences between them. And then we just kind of take it piece by piece, section by section, and show you how to build it, how to create, and to articulate all that information about your brand on your resume.
I see. And, you also even talk about how, putting a phone number is not necessary.
Yeah. In fact, well, phone number is not your address, your physical mailing address.
Okay. You're right. Yeah, sorry. Phone number, yes, but no physical address.
Yeah, physical address just is an opportunity for an employer to use that against you if they feel like you live too far away, or they feel like the neighborhood you live in is less than, well, they're just being judgmental. They're just you're opening yourself up to scrutiny that doesn't necessarily need to be there. Nobody uses the address for anything anymore.
Yeah.
On an email.
And you even talk about photos. It could be useful. It depends. It depends on the situation. So you help us evaluate whether it's a good idea or not.
Yeah.
And this area is awesome. It really goes into detail about what goes into the resume. As you can see here, he's just building section by section what a resume should be like. And obviously some nice bullet points. And then here, if you have no work history, which is great, which applies for the newer grads or less than 5 years of experience. It's not like you have 20. So what do you talk about? Can you tell us a little bit about this section?
Yeah, having to do with your work history. If you don't have a whole lot, obviously you've got to show that you have worked some. And so what I've told people to do sometimes is to include things that even if it's prior to dentistry, it's still work history. It shows there's still some skills that you picked up from their customer service and various things. But you also had some experience working in a clinic at the school, and so that offers some information about how you are able to handle yourself professionally as a clinician.
You're right, because schoolwork is also work.
It is work.
You see patients. That's a truth, and also you do externships.
Yeah, and if anything, you see the worst of the worst patients, because typically you'll see the patients who don't have the funds or the ability to afford going to a normal dentist, and so they have to go into these types of clinics to be able to get their dental care.
Great point. Yes. So be confident that you have something to offer. You just need to go through the process of finding what it is that you can put on your resume.
That's exactly right.
Great. All right. And after that, you go into this job hunting material. So, you help them understand how to hunt for jobs, the good jobs, because, not every job is the same. Right. And then even, advanced materials for that. And, here, I think you're talking about the materials that are on top of your resume, right? That makes it even better. And what are those?
Well, there's a number of them. One of them is that really helped my wife land a job was a video resume that we created. And, it doesn't have to be really, a Hollywood production. It could be very, very simple. In fact, it should be simple. It needs to be something very short and concise, where they just get a chance to get to know you a little bit better through a video. And it doesn't even have to be you in person. If you don't feel comfortable on camera, if you feel like you're just not going to show well on camera, on a video, then create sort of a slideshow type of a video where where you just kind of highlight some of the things about you that are interesting or that are cool. And
I
so,
see.
yeah, just kind of figure out, these are all just different ways in which to stand out. Very, very few people will create a video resume, and
I
it's
see.
intriguing for an employer to be able to see that. So,
Yeah. Yeah, great. And here, this is where the resume, the video resume you're talking about, and this can be anybody who films. It doesn't have to be like a professional production, right? Your friends at school, your family member, you talk about what you can do. And I bet, I mean, people love videos. You know, we're living in the 21st century. Even though if the office manager who's going to go through the pile is, 60 years old, it's still better to hear someone's voice and face.
Yeah, and I'll be launching a new product here soon, probably by the time this video airs. It helps people to be able to create a video resume, a very, very short, concise resume that we'll be able to put together for people that will be more animated than it will be them in person. In fact, probably won't have any footage of them at all, but it'll be sort of an short animated video with some bullet points. So it's like a PowerPoint presentation with music.
Awesome.
But just another great way to stand out.
Okay, awesome. I love that idea. I love that idea. Okay, and here you have even a plan for people to understand how they can put this together.
Yeah.
So you say, this is a 90-day plan. Obviously, if you are job hunting right now and you want to jump on an opportunity, that is great as well. The resume itself will help you. But if you have a little bit of more time, if you are thinking, he already talks about a longer term plan. So, I encourage anybody to look at it. And in fact, the first parts are free. So anybody can go through, how to create your personal brand in order to infuse that into your resume. And there are other more things he talks about here that I learned as well, honestly, like the follow-up sheet, the cover letter. How do you even write that? Cover letter feels so, when I was a new grad, felt so difficult. I didn't know what to do.
Yeah, they can be challenging. And the problem is that a lot of employers just don't even ask for them. Some of them do. I shouldn't say a lot. I'd say about 50-50, half do, half don't. And so you always have to be prepared to have one, even if you don't feel like you want to have, for every job opening. You should always submit one anyway, because that's just one more opportunity for you to stand out. And it's really just, all it is just a summary and sort of an executive summary of who you are and why you fit that position and what you bring to the table. It's just a very short, concise letter that it's again something that not a lot of employers ask for, and so a lot of employees, job seekers, don't necessarily feel comfortable writing them because they just don't get asked for them that much. But it's a great way to stand out, and there are some who do require it, so you definitely need to learn how to write them.
And who doesn't love letters? We live in a world where we don't do letters anymore, but when you have a hand, like not a handwritten, but at least a letter in your hand, I think it's just extra point right there already. So anybody should do it, right?
Oh yeah, and it's a great way to kind of align yourself with them more so than what your resume can do. Even you can spend just a little bit more time getting yourself lined up with what it is that they're looking for.
Okay, great. And here we know they get to know a little bit more about you, that you've been in marketing, communications, and PR for 22 years. So, obviously, even though this is dental hygiene is not your profession, I mean, you understand with all this experience how to distill that into the specific industry, and your wife being there all the time. I bet you understand everything about dentistry already, right? The instruments and the positioning.
He is my technical advisor.
Right.
I've learned a lot, though. I'll tell you that. It's been kind of fun. She tells me all the time I should go back and get my dental hygiene degree, but I don't know if I'm cut.
So funny to have that.
I don't know if I'm cut from that cloth, but it's definitely something I've learned a lot more about. Talking intelligently with any dental hygienist now.
Yeah. All right. This is awesome. And you have a little bit about how you interview as well. And there's a separate interview course that I actually made, that is more if you want, a lot more if you want to get prepared with a deck of questions and things like that. So
Yeah.
thanks so much for just walking us through the sequence of what you have prepared for us over here. And just a few questions I want to ask those a little bit more is that what are the biggest mistake people make though?
The biggest mistakes they make in terms of just
Oh, the resume building. For example, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'll just go back to what I was saying before, which is just articulating their accomplishments, not really putting anything that's unique about what they can do and what they've done in the past. That's really a struggle for people, and that would be probably one of the bigger areas I would see the most problems with.
And you're right. It's a resume problem. It's also an interview problem. I created the course, and one of the first thing, actually, now I think about it, the first part is know yourself and know how to sell yourself. It's an audition in a way. You gotta just put it in the front of their face. It's like having 100 dates candidates, like The Bachelor. What is that called? The Bachelor or The Bachelorette? Do you watch that show?
Yeah, that show.
I mean, look at the people who are competing for that bachelorette. They put the best of the best that they can ever do in their life forward.
Yeah, and it's oftentimes the little subtle things that make the difference. And so you can't think, well, there's one thing that if I do this, then that will make it so that I get the job. And it's not usually doesn't usually work that way. It's usually lots of the accumulation of a lot of subtle things that just over the period of time make the difference for people.
Yes. And for me, if I had to choose something, I was thinking about this today. What are the mistakes people make is really not understanding the visual impact of a nice looking resume presentation. I'm talking about presentation, the colors, the feel of the paper. Those might not be the content of the resume, but it makes a resume.
Well, what it does is it pulls people into the content. So if they see something that's really well designed and has a nice flow, it's not going to be hard for them to read or absorb. They're going to go in and start to read it because of that fact. And what you can do, what so often people do, is create something where they just kind of throw it all together. They're not really thinking about the visual presentation, and they have lost the employer before they even, they can even start reading the resume. So my goal and my objective when I work with clients is to create a visual presentation that grabs the attention of somebody and then pulls them into the reading. And then the reading has to back it up as well. The text and content has to be concise and tight.
You're right.
Just go straight to the point.
Yeah. That made me think about when you go to a bookstore, it's just covers. All we see is covers. We don't know which book we're going to pick to buy.
Yeah.
The same. If it's a nice cover that gets our attention, then we even look at what this is about, right? We don't say, like, today I'm going to have this book because the content is this. That's not how we start.
Yeah. Yeah. That visual, that first impression is just huge. And I've had so many books that I bought them based on the cover. And and it turned out that the book was terrible, or sometimes they're good, but the cover is just what they see, and that's what most people base their decision on.
And sometimes they have the sticker saying award or bestseller or something like that. Those are the extra things that makes it even better, right? So that's when you talk about, you have to find a way to really package yourself, to sell yourself in a way that people want to interview you. The next step is interviewing. So you talk about in the course how to put your awards together and your education, so it looks like you are that person.
Yeah, and that I call it third-party validation, where you have people that are. It's one thing for you to talk about how great you are, but if you've got someone else talking about how great you are, it's much more convincing to the employer. And so that third-party validation can come out in things like testimonial sheets. It can come out in reference letters. Provide every opportunity to sell yourself, not from just your perspective and angle, but from others who have worked with you and you've worked under.
I'm so excited about this course that you put together, because whoever is going to listen to this course, the game is going to be different, I feel like, because you don't just talk about resume, you talk about the skills that is going to translate into how they're going to interview as well. And then you also, by doing that, you boost their confidence. So they're going to find that as well. And you talk about the cover letter, the testimonial sheet, the third-party validation, postcards, videos. I mean, if any candidate does all of those, I think they're going to be at the top of the list already.
Yeah, and that's why I was saying when we did all those things for my wife, we didn't even have the ability to roll it all out because she got hired with less than that. And so if you have all of that, it just flat out looks impressive, and you can't help but get interviews, job offers. I mean, you're getting the best of the best.
Okay.
And that's what you want.
All right.
Think of it this way too. Think about, you've spent so much time in your career trying to get yourself to the position where you are today. All the hours you spent in school, all that money you spent. Shouldn't you invest in yourself in this effort in as big a way as you possibly can? This means everything for so many people. This is their income. This is their livelihood. Career, and so many people just take the very minimum of what they have to do to be able to market themselves, and really it should be something quite the opposite. You should be just going overboard, and so few people do it. It's so easy to really stand out if you'll just put some time into it.
I see. Very nice. All right. And just to wrap up, how long would it take for someone to really go through that process of carefully planning their resume and the other materials? How long would you give yourself to do that?
Well, I would definitely plan on putting in some significant hours. It just depends. It depends on your skill levels with writing. It depends on your skill levels with design, with being able to kind of focus in on what areas you're interested in. If you're interested in pediatrics, for example, or if you want to work in public health, you've got to kind of figure all those things out. And so a lot of that is kind of up to the individual. And so you really should plan on lots of hours, and don't try to get it done in one day. Try to get it done over the course of several weeks, and get yourself prepared that way.
Yeah, I cannot see this coming in even a few days. I think really to have something, all that condensed in the best format you can, you really need to give yourself some time.
Yeah, and I mean, just give yourself time, if nothing else, to go back and look at what you've created to see that still is what you think, because we all kind of evolve and change, and you're going to find out that your resume from when you first graduated from college is going to be much, much different, obviously, for a lot of reasons, than it is 20 years down the line. And so you've got to continually invest in, keep investing in that, and also invest in networking. I talk about that in one of the videos as well, how important it is to keep yourself connected with your community, your tribes.
Yes, and I can tell you how important it is, how I tell everybody to do that too, because there are so many people I met through networking. Like I can't find them online. I mean, obviously you can do an online introduction, but go find some real people out there. Yeah.
And that is one of the things that's so much easier now. I mean, it used to be before the internet, you'd have to do it in person. And it's just game changer now with the internet, social media, that you can do it so easily now, so quickly, build up a following of people that know you, know who you are and what you're about. And likewise, you them. And you can serve each other, help each other. And that's what networking is. It's just serving and helping each other to accomplish each other's goals.
Yeah. All right. Well, I learned a lot already. I mean, obviously, I've seen the course, but I'm really excited to have others see what you have to offer. You've done already so much for this RDH world, and I hope a lot of other people would benefit from your services. So thank you, Del, for being with us today on a Saturday, actually. I hope you have some great plans today. And you are in Utah, right?
Yeah, I live in Utah. I grew up in Oregon, but I live in Utah now. I've been here for quite a few years.
Awesome. Is it snowing there?
It's not yet. It was supposed to today, but it hasn't quite yet. I suspect it'll be here shortly.
I always thought Utah was so beautiful.
It is. It's a dry state. It's a desert state, so it's got its own beauty. It's not the same as Oregon. Oregon I miss because it's so green and lush, but here it's got its own unique beauty as well.
All right. Well, wish you the best, Doug. We'll
Thank
see
you.
you around here in dentistry.
Definitely, Claire. Appreciate it.
Great. So have a great Saturday, and say hi to your wife as well then.
I will. Thanks. Appreciate it.
All right. See you again. Bye.
Bye.